Alright, boils and ghouls. So, yesterday I finally got around to watching Stream from this year. This is directed by Michael Leavy and co-written by Michael Leavy, his brother Jason Leavy, and two others. We have producers from the Terrifier films, including Damien Leone, Phil Falcone. So, a lot of people that had to do with the Terrifier films had a lot to do with this movie. And we have a huge cast of horror legends and horror icons in this movie. We have Danielle Harris, we have Bill Moseley, we have Jeffrey Combs, we have the late great Tony Todd, which if some of you haven't heard, I'm sure everybody has at this point, but the great Tony Todd has passed away at 69 years old the other day. Terrible, terrible news. It just still feels surreal. But we have Tony Todd, we have David Howard Thornton, we have Dee Wallace, David Sheridan, Felissa Rose, Damien Maffei. It goes on and on. I'm going to keep this as spoiler free as possible. I don't have too much to say. While I had fun with this, it's definitely a fun watch. It's a fun little slasher. Movies like this, where the big draw is having all of those horror icons, almost never works for me. And in this, it's okay. I mean, we have Jeffrey Combs, who is a favorite of mine, and he gives the best performance in this movie. Not just because he's Jeffrey Combs, but because he actually has some character development in here, and we see a lot of him. He's one of the main characters and the main antagonists in this movie versus everybody else. If you don't know the plot synopsis for this movie, we have a family that goes to this hotel that they've been at before, and they end up planning this family getaway for the weekend at this hotel where Mr. Lockwood, played by Jeffrey Combs, ends up shutting down the whole hotel and locking it down and having these four silent killers go around killing all the guests of this hotel while it's being streamed to a bunch of people to watch this murder, this rampage unfold. It's not the most original premise, but it's fine. But back to what I was saying with the cast. The problem I have with movies like this is that, one, most of these horror icons are in this movie for a few minutes at best. And the second is, it's hard for me to see them as anything other than themselves. I mean, we don't get a lot of character development on any of these characters. So when I see Felissa Rose in here, which is always great, she's gone within 2 minutes. So I see her as Felissa Rose, and David Sheridan is David Sheridan, and Tony Todd is Tony Todd, and Dee Wallace is Dee Wallace. Like, they don't have depth to their characters. And this is why I don't like movies that do this. That just, the big draw is all the horror actors and directors making cameos. It's great seeing them, but it doesn't add anything to the characters. It doesn't add anything to the movie, really, except for the Where's Waldo of horror. Oh, that's this actor or this actress. That's pretty much it. Now, the characters of the main family, I forget who plays the father, but I really actually enjoyed his performance and his whole dynamic with his young son. That I thought was really well done. The daughter, who's this bitchy teenage girl who she gets caught in the beginning stealing alcohol, and she gets brought home by the police, and Danielle Harris is the mother here. So at least we see Danielle Harris a little bit more, but still, like, I can't help but see her as just Danielle Harris and not the character that she's supposed to be. Jeffrey Combs' character is great, despite it being very similar to the character that he plays in 2012's Would You Rather with Brittany Snow, which I adore that movie. And Jeffrey Combs' performance in that film, honestly, might be my second favorite performance from Combs in his entire career, behind Reanimator. But this is a pretty similar character, a very eccentric lunatic who's streaming these kills and making a game out of it. He seems to be the leader of this, but we find out later on that he's not the top dog, basically. And we have a little cameo I guess a cameo by Tim Curry. You don't see him, you hear his voice, and it's about a minute and a half long in a mid-credit sequence. So again, you don't see Tim Curry really, or have him there, even though he is there. He does make a cute little reference to it. So the characters overall aren't the best in this movie. The music by Paul Wiley, who also did all the music for the Terrifier films, great. The music is very, very good in this, and I didn't really expect otherwise with really being a fan of Paul Wiley's music so far. The kills in this movie, they're good. There's some cutaway kills that I don't understand why they went that way, but when we do get some really good kills in this, like David Sheridan's kill and Danielle Harris's kill, a little bit of spoilers there, but whatever. She gets a really good kill. The effects look very good, and they look very Terrifier-esque. I don't know who did the effects for this movie. I don't know if Damien Leone helped out a bit, but it is very reminiscent of Damien Leone's effects work in the Terrifier films. There's some kills that, are very satisfying, and they don't go too over the top, but they do hit that almost Terrifier level in just the gore effects alone and some of the creativity of the kills. But even the kills aren't that great in this movie. Now we have David Howard Thornton, who there's 4 killers, and they're just simply killer 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they got the number on each of them. And he plays killer 2, which is the brother of Killer 3. So 2 and 3 are a brother and sister duo. And the killers look cool. I like the masks they wear. I like a lot of the lighting in this movie. There's a decent amount of good colored lighting and usage of that. David Howard Thornton, as usual, does a great job. But it's I want to see him do something different. I want to see his fucking face, and hear, I want a speaking role without a mask or anything from David Howard Thornton, because he's proved at this point, especially with Terrifier 3, that he can do the whole silent killer thing extraordinarily well. That's basically the same thing we get here, is him playing a silent character who's just a maniac killer, with the same type of mannerisms as Art the Clown, and the silent mocking, and a lot of the same, which again, I really want to see him do something different and branch out. I know one of his dream roles is to play the Joker, which I would love to see that, and I have no doubt that he has every bit of the chops to bring us an excellent Joker. I'm just getting a little bored with him always picking these roles, and so far just kind of being typecast in these roles as the silent killer. I think he has a lot more talent, and I would like to see more of that in projects going forward. Also, the runtime here of 2 hours, way too long. Seriously? I mean, I could see it for the Terrifier films. It doesn't feel as long, watching Terrifier 2 especially, 2 hours and 20 minutes almost. Terrifier 3 was a little over 2 hours. But the pacing for those are much better than this movie. You can cut a half hour at least out of this and be completely fine. You wouldn't be missing really anything. So the runtime goes against this movie a bit. I mean, I feel like I'm not giving too many positives for this. it is a fun watch. It's a fun slasher. The kills are pretty damn good from time to time. The characters of the father and, like I said, the dynamic between him and the son, very well done. The daughter's acting, I forget the actress, she's okay. She's nothing great. And Jeffrey Combs' character, and that's pretty much everything that I really enjoyed out of this movie. Would I watch it again? Maybe. Not anytime soon, but this is definitely not on any top 10 for this year or anywhere close to it. It's a fun slasher film. That's basically all I could say. So if you like slashers and if you like the Terrifier films, even though this is its own thing, it definitely has a lot of vibes and the feel of the Terrifier film, so it makes absolute sense because of everybody involved. But Stream from 2024, it's a fun time, if not kind of forgettable, that, like I said, I probably won't watch again for a long while. But I'd be interested to see them expand upon this if they do a sequel, because they can take this into some interesting places, I would think. But I don't know, just didn't catch me. It didn't really grab me. And more insult to injury, the next movie I watched after this was The Substance, which I'll have a review on that tomorrow, which fucking phenomenal. Like, one of the best movies, probably the best movie I've seen in years, off the top of my head. Excellent film. I can't wait to talk about that. So that'll be the next one, The Substance. If you haven't seen it, I urge you, please go see it. My top 2 for the year before seeing The Substance was Late Night with the Devil at number 2 and Long Legs by Oz Perkins at number 1. The Substance came in and it just blew all of those. Like, by a country mile, it beat Long Legs out for number 1. But we'll talk about that more in the video for The Substance. Until then, that's Stream. Check it out if you haven't seen it. If you have seen it, let me know in the comments what you thought about it. Let me know any negatives you had, if you agree with any of my criticisms, if you highly enjoyed it and don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I want to hear from you guys. Hope everyone's having a great morning, afternoon, or night. I'll talk to you soon. Take care, guys.